also known as having a plan, because we need a plan if we're gonna do beekeeping. Here's part of the reason why. Dr. Tarpey, who is the state extension apiculturalist for North Carolina, says he estimates the half-life for new beekeepers is about 2.5 years. That's to say that every 2.5 years, about half of the beekeepers will drop out of beekeeping. So that means we've got about 20 students in bee school, and in 2.5 years, only 10 are going to still be doing bees, or still be active in beekeeping. In 5 years, only 5 of them are going to be left. And then in 7.5 years, we'll be down to a couple of bees still doing bees. And then by the time you get to 10 years, it's like 1 or 2 people from that original 20, and they're probably going to stick with it. They're going to be beekeepers forever. This is probably the reason why. Because beekeeping goes all over. There's so many different things to think about. It's just really, really messy. You've got basic decisions that you have to make. If your hive gets sick, are you going to give them medications or you're not going to give them medications? Are you going to use synthetic pesticides? You've got fluvalinate, coumaphos, amitraz. Are you going to put those things in your colony? Or are you going to stick with non-synthetics and go with acids and essential oils? Or are you going to be treatment-free? If you're truly treatment-free, you could be doing a whole lot of work or not a whole lot of work. That runs the gamut from being in your bees all the time trying to do those brood breaks, like Carrie was talking about. Then you have to form a whole lot of opinions, and these things might change over time. But how do you feel about swarming? Do you love for your bees to swarm? Do you not like for your bees to swarm? Maybe that changes. Treatments. So you make a decision about which treatments, but then you have to decide what time of year, how do I want to use them, what order do I want to use them. Then there's woodenware management. We have a member of our club who will burn frames that have been infested with wax moths, all the way to, another member who, it really doesn't matter how bad the wax moth damage is, they'll put it back in the box for the bee, for a strong colony to clean it up. So it runs the gamut. Queen management. Are you running a hospice for honeybee queens? Or are you pinching those queens and changing them out every year or 2? And then interventions. There's so many interventions that you have to form opinions about, what you want to do for your colonies. So you gotta make this mess get a little bit more simplified into something like this. So tonight we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about, what are the things that we can look at choosing a path for our beekeeping in 2024. We'll talk about pretty much everything on this slide. It's like death by PowerPoint because there's like 70 slides here. But we'll go ahead and get started. We'll talk about my favorite first, and that's learning more about bees. So if you've heard me ask these questions before, and there's at least a couple people in the room that have, if you know the answer, don't chime in. What if I told you that propolis protects bees from parasites, pests, bacteria, and fungus? Would you believe me? Would you give me credit for all 4 of those?
Yeah.
Well, propolis solutions can kill varroa mites in the lab. Propolis also causes wax moth larvae to die. And then bees will they'll self-medicate with propolis after exposure to chalk brooding. And then in some regions, propolis will inhibit the growth of AFB. So propolis that you might be scraping out of your colonies is super, super important for the health of your bees.
So we should leave it in there?
That's one of those opinion things you gotta figure out, what do I want to do?
I've been reading a lot about scoring the inside of new hive bodies to.
That's right.
To promote the.
That's right, and there's now a company on the market that has taken, one of the big shows, a couple weekends by storm, and that's, I think it's Propola. The Propola company is now coming out with the, hives, and the insides of them are all scored up. So you don't even have to get out there and score them, they've done it for you.
I was thinking about using a weed eater.
You
So-
said what?
A weed eater might never work. I haven't tried it yet, but I thought it might work. I was gonna try it at least once.
So, go ahead, Carrie.
I took mine and just painted, melted the wax and painted the wax on.
Yep, there's that too. So you can create a wax envelope for your boxes as well, which is also healthy for the bees. But what if I told you that some laying workers can go undetected and lay eggs in your queen white colony? Would you believe me? What do you think about that one? There is such thing called the anarchist worker. If I were a bee, I'd want to be an anarchist worker. And she has active ovaries despite pheromone suppression that she's getting from a really strong queen. She can evade detection, which means the nurse bees are not eating her eggs. They smell just like the queen's. It's a result of a genetic anomaly, and thankfully, there are few and far between. So what if I told you that virgin queens spray other bees with feces? You'd probably think, yuck. But it's true, virgin queens that are less than 2 weeks of age have a pheromone, amino acetophenone, in their feces, and queens will spray aggressive workers. That causes those workers to stop being aggressive and to start grooming. And this pheromone also repairs, it's also when they fight. So they find another virgin in the hive and they begin to fight. The loser gets sprayed with feces, and then every other bee in the colony knows she lost. The bee that comes out smelling like a rose is the winner. So what if I told you that unfertilized eggs can develop into female bees, both workers and queens? Would you believe me? Dean's looking at me like, I don't know if I believe that one. That one might be a bridge too far. It's called phyllotoky. It's very common in Apis mellifera capensis, which is on the tip of South Africa. And these laying workers can lay other workers, and they can also rear queens. They're actually considered a pest if you take them out of their natural area and put them in other areas, because they will take over a colony. U.S. honeybee stock has been shown to have Phyllotochus workers as well, but this is probably something we'll never see.
That also happens in chickens. It's called parthenogenesis, where unfertilized eggs develop.
Yeah.
So even higher organisms, it's well documented.
Yeah. So we think we know a whole lot, but then other stuff pops up and we're like, what? So I would encourage everyone to learn more. The Master Beekeeping Program is definitely a means to do that, and most of the folks in here are certified. Some are journeyman and some are master, and then some of our folks in bee school right now will also be taking the certification test, and then you can finish the second part with the practical exam, and you're on the ladder, you're on that first rung. Everything that you need to know about moving yourself from one rung of the ladder to the next is available on the NCSBA website. So if you're certified and you want to become a journeyman, and you need to know what are the practical tests that I have to take to do that, they're on the website. The curriculum guide is up there, everything is available. You can also take a class. We are so fortunate here in North Carolina because Dr. Tarpey teaches Bees Academy. He usually does 2 or 3 of these every year. I know Janet attended one last year. I went to one a few years ago. Have you been to a Bees Academy?
No, I have not.
They're well worth it because it's really, really interesting to listen to Dr. Tarpey. There's also this little thing called Born and Bred. is a really cool class where you learn how to graft queens. It's got a great textbook. And the author of the textbook just happens to be here tonight. So Rick Core leads our Born and Bred efforts. We'll be at the, what are you
Okay,
doing
the
this
Born and
year?
Bred this year will be at the Mills River Research Station up near Henderson, and that'll be April 20th.
Okay, so it's separate from the spring meeting now.
It is.
It'll be on its own day.
Yeah, last year it was over in Greenville.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So neither of these two classes are that expensive, and they, give you an opportunity to meet other beekeepers and learn really nice things. The other thing we have is Welsh Honey Judge Training Workshop. And most of the states that I have seen their information or been involved in lately, they're all doing this training in conjunction with their state meeting. And are we doing that again this year?
Okay, we're not doing a honey judge training workshop at the spring meeting. We're doing a competition prep workshop. But also doing one Saturday too, up in Sophia, near Asheboro.
So this is the training to actually become a honey judge. So if you wanted to, I've actually taken this, I've drug my kid to it too. And then I got the opportunity to be a steward when I went to Texas, which is really, really neat because you work with a honey judge and you do that, you work your way up in that system too. The class that they're offering this year at the spring meeting is going to be additional training to make you really, really good at your entries. If you want to do competitions, and we'll talk about that in a second. Then, if you want to learn more about bees, one of the very best ways to learn about bees is to go listen to the speakers at state meetings. So March 7th through the 9th, the meeting's gonna be in New Bern. But if you cannot even wait to get to a state meeting, there's one in South Carolina in February, and Columbia is really not that far away. So Rick, if you want to go ahead and talk about what the state meeting will be like in March.
Sure. If you're not a member of the state, yet, you may not have the Bee Buzz magazine. If you go to ncbeekeepers.org, which is the NCSBA website, you can look in there and access the Bee Buzz online. And in the Bee Buzz, sort of near the back, you'll see talk about the spring conference, the speakers, and there are two YouTube personalities there, Mr. Ed and 628 Dirt Rooster. I can't remember that one out there. But these guys have a lot of good information, very entertaining, I understand. But the schedule is posted online, so you can access that now. And if you have a buzz, you can check out the Bee Buzz. A lot of vendors will be there. You can stock up on whatever you need. Don't have to pay you shipping. Of course, some of them, if you spend over $100, they ship free anyway. And we'll have that competition prep class. Learn how to prepare your entries for competition. Also, there'll be an artisan show at spring meeting, which is not honey, but it's arts and crafts, photography, and there's different classifications. So I'm gonna try to enter some stuff as well. And if you've not entered any of these shows, they are competitive. There's a standard, and but it's very exciting. I would encourage you to do like I've done before. Just enter something, and see how it places and learn, and then come back prepared the next time to have a better showing. So hopefully I'll have a better showing this year.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
So for Eugene and Leon and Aaron and Cruz, did I miss anybody?
Okay, Eugene.
Eugene. You guys will be members of NCSBA. So part of B School is your local membership, and then I will also be sending your names to the state. It won't quite be in time to start getting a lot of information, but I'm gonna try to do that before the week's out so that you do get the opportunity. Being a brand new beekeeper and popping down to New Bern for the bee meeting is not a big deal. There will be a lot of people of all levels of experience, people who don't have their bees yet, to people who have been doing it their whole life. So the next thing you can do, if you wanna learn more about bees, is read. This is one of my favorite things. I love to sit and read. That's what I forgot. I brought these two books because these two are my favorite, and I want to be kind of financially responsible. So this Samataro book is the one we use at Bee School. We have some extra copies. We can sell them. I think they're going for about $30 right now online. They started off about $20. Now they're up to $30. But this book is a really excellent book for the beginner and the intermediate. There's a whole lot going on in this book that is intermediate and above. So it is very, very helpful. It's also extremely practical. It's more of a how-to guide, like how to beekeep, more than, you know, this is what it is. So this is an excellent book. The other one is my crush, Dr. Karen. I'm so excited that we're gonna have him presenting for us. This is a textbook that he wrote for the University of Delaware. It is, I think it's the second edition. He now has a third edition. Yeah, coming in for bees.
We don't want to enter, but we are late.
Come on in, come on in.
You can also get that book through, the library exchange program. I got, my sister-in-law was a librarian in Wake County, and she got me a copy of that, and I could keep it for 2 weeks and then renew it.
Yep.
And after reading it, I think I finished it one day and bought my own copy the next day because I got so much out of that book.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I got really excited about bees early on is I bought the first edition of this book from Bill Thering at a yard sale, and I read it in like a day. I got through the whole thing in like a day and a half because it was that good. This is second edition. It's got more pictures, it's got more information, and it's currently on sale because the third edition is already published. The third edition is almost $100, which is a little pricey, but this one is the second edition, is still available, and it's on sale at most outlets. So when Dewey Kieran came to speak at the state meeting, I had him sign my copy. I was like, Dr. Kieran, please. These books actually belong to the education coordinator, so I'm gonna turn them over right now. But invest in some good books. Yes, sir.
For you, the people that don't know, the state library for the NCSBA is here at Wayne Community College. You can check out these books, or whatever they've got.
They got videos too.
I don't think they're
Right here
supporting
wherever
it
you're
anymore.
at.
Yeah, we need to, Rick, we have a question for the state because we understand that the library is not able to support the NCSBA collection.
Yeah, you can't check anything else, you can't check anything out now currently.
Okay. Will that be coming back online in the future, we hope?
Well, we don't know,
Okay.
and, we'll make a decision this year for the library.
So maybe we'll get our library back up and running. The librarian for the state is a member of our club, so we're very proud of that. So buy a magazine subscription, buy 2 of them. Buy one for Bee Culture and buy one for American Bee Journal. It's important to buy those subscriptions. Those are the last 2 magazines for beekeepers, and if we don't support them, they'll disappear.
I have the ones for last year. I'll be bringing them Saturday.
Oh, good.
Bee Journal and all, I have those.
Yeah, so if you're in Bee School, we get some copies, some old copies, and we pass those out. So you'll be able to see them. The Honeybee Health Coalition website has 3 downloads, free downloads that I think are excellent. One is like basic beekeeping best practices. There's another one in there for Varroa mite management, and there's a third for, like EFB and AFB. So you don't always have to pay money to get something good to read, you can just go and download. You can listen. These are my 3 favorite podcasts that I never miss. Dr. Jamie Ellis and Amy Vu are out of University of Florida. They are 2 bees in a podcast, and he does an interview with somebody, and then they do Stump the Chump, which is 3 beekeeping questions that anybody can send in, and Dr. Ellis answers them. Then there's Beekeeping Today podcast, that is Jeff Ott, and now Becky Masterman. Becky Masterman, or Dr. Masterman, is from University of Minnesota, and she's awesome. So I listen to that one regularly. And then Honeybee Obscura is Dr. James Tu. So Dr. Tu is retired, and this one's a little bit more fun, but he has so much knowledge, it is definitely worth the listen. So if you like podcasts, you can cue those 3 up. You can surf the web. The Bee Culture website is great. You can look at Randy Oliver, Scientific Beekeeping. You can look at that website for a long time, because it just has so much content. And then, in addition to the Dirt Rooster and whoever the other one was, I don't know the other one.
Jeff Wilcox.
Okay, I haven't heard about him.
Yes.
The ones I'm most familiar with are Bob Benny. Bob Benny is a commercial beekeeper. He's got a great YouTube channel. I think he publishes a video every Thursday. Cayman Reynolds, he spoke at the state meeting 2 state meetings ago. And David Burns. David Burns was actually a photographer who got into beekeeping. And he does a lot of really excellent videos and things online. So that is all the learning more. Lots of opportunities to learn more, and I push for that. But you can also get competitive. So here's your opportunity to get competitive for the year. So the NCSBA summer meeting will have competitions for honey, and that's extracted, cup comb, chunk, creamed, several different colors of the extracted. Beeswax, there's lots of categories for beeswax. There's several categories for the mead and the honey beverages, food, and then all those artisan categories. Artisan categories are the arts and crafts, photography, making quilts, all of those kind of things. So what I understand from you is that all of the artisan categories will also be at the spring meeting.
And at the summer meeting too.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's see if this will work. You can give us a quick look. Okay, so this is the rules that are posted on the NCSBA website, and I am pretty sure, yeah, arts, crafts, needlecraft, woodcraft, lip balm, soaps, notions, potions, and lotions, photography, both color and black and white, poetry, honey jar label, that's one I'm not familiar with, beekeeping antiquities, and gift basket. So those things will all be represented at spring show, and then you can do the additional in the summer. So you can go to NCSBA for a copy of those rules that I just pulled up. The state fair. This is a link to the state fair rules and all of the different things that you can enter at the state fair. We will have a booth again this year. This will be our 3rd year. And for one of the local clubs, we are super challenged because our stuff has to be at the state fair before our local fair is even finished. So we are killing it to try to get everything up to Raleigh in time for the state fair. But we've done it the last 2 years. We're gonna do it again this year. Our theme is gonna be honeybee census. So we do need help, anybody who wants to work on that. Judy Smith is our committee lead. And anything that you wanna enter in the state fair, we will transport for you. So we actually have to get it up there on a Wednesday, get it all checked in. It'll get judged. We'll be back to, straighten it up, making sure it has its best display. And then we will pick it up and bring it back, so you can pick it up.
If you do want to submit something for judging, you have to send in the paperwork by the 15th of September.
That's the big reason I have included, if you're gonna get competitive, you need to make that decision now, because, September comes super fast. Now, just like Rick, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this booth, and I'm gonna enter some things, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but it's okay, and here's my ribbons, y'all. So, yes, thank you very much. Thank you. This was my first effort at making mead, and y'all, I'm an alcoholic and I don't drink, so I've never tasted the mead that I make. So, first place, I don't know what this one is. Oh, this is second place on the sweet mead, this was last year's. This first place was on a dry mead, year before last. You could have knocked me over. I was so tickled. This is a dry mead, third place, from last year. This one's dark amber, liquid honey. And then this one's a color photo. I thought that was kind of cool. And this one is my little, this says Pure Beeswax product. So I made this little candle, very, very simple candle, and got 5th place. So I was super excited. So those are my state fair ribbons. And that's like that much effort. It's not even like not even going crazy putting effort into it.
And the club won 6th place for our booth 2 years ago. We won 5th place last year, so we're going for a higher prize this year.
We're going for 4th, y'all. And I'm not even ashamed to say we're going for 4th, because we'll all be there at the local fair trying to get everything straight at the state fairgrounds. It's what we can do. But we're being competitive. This year, I think our winnings are $94 from our entries at the state fair. So it does mean a little bit of money for the club. Beekeepers of the News will also have competition. So come July, Caroline, did I get that right? It's July. Caroline?
I'm looking.
Okay, so one of our meetings, I think it's July, but I'm not 100% sure, we're gonna have a black jar competition. That just means that it's judged only on taste. So we'll have our table up here with all the entries, we'll all get to go through and taste and drop our vote in for the one that we like. So that will be our in the club voting. And then at the same time, we're going to do a cooking with honey competition. So come up with your best recipe, and we'll be able to enter that. What'd you think? Was it July?
Yes. I think it got lost, but I'm gonna put it back in.
Okay. So lots of ways to compete. I didn't even put the local fair on here, but there is also the local fair that you can enter stuff. Become an activist and join a national organization. So why do you want to do that? Why do you want to become an activist? Why do you want to join a national organization? So the Honey Identification, Verification, and Enforcement Act, called the HIVE Act, it's a bill working its way through Congress, and it is going to define honey, those 181 identifiable things in honey, is going to be formalized by the government. That's important because they're very, very close to pretty much already making artificial honey. And this act will define how that word honey can be defined. Because if there's a product on the market that's not real honey, it's artificial honey, and they can call it honey, well, that's a problem for all of us, or at least it should be. The other thing is pet products are being transferred from the EPA to the FDA. Has anybody heard this yet? Is this all new news? Is this new news for you? Okay, so the EPA currently manages pet products. So everything that you get for your cats and dogs for fleas and ticks is managed from the FDA. More than 100,000 injuries and deaths were reported to the EPA from the Seresto flea and tick collars. It was so bad, there were so many animals hurt and killed from wearing these collars that the government has made a decision to move ectoparasitic medications from the EPA to the control of the FDA. Now, we're beekeepers, why would we care about pet products? It's because varroa treatment is for an ectoparasite. So all of our mite treatments gonna go over to the FDA. And what that means is instead of that quick to market, quick approval, and quick trail to the market, it's now gonna have to go through the FDA process. You're now looking for like a 7 to 10 year process to get a new product to market. And it's gonna have to have proven efficacy. And we all know that when you're treating mites, proving efficacy would probably take some of the current products that we have off the market. So this is coming, it's going to happen. So you can just kind of like listen out for the news that it'll be on the way. Now, how do you become an activist in this? You join an organization that's working on these things, that's getting you that information. All of my information on both of these came from the American Beekeeping Federation. I'm a member of the American Beekeeping Federation, and I keep up with what they're working on my behalf. Hey, Mr. Flowers. At the local level, our NCSBA is working on an endowed professorship in apiculture at North Carolina State. So if you wanted to be an activist, there's help needed at the local level to fundraise for this endowed professorship. And we're getting fairly close, aren't we?
We are, yes.
Did you want to go again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, the endowed professorship, was embarked on early in, mid 2022, and the latest number we have $626,613 in pledges and commitments, and we have to get to 667 before we can apply for the matching funds, make $1 million endowment. What that endowment is a support fund at NC State for the apiculture program, and it is an endowment specifically for apiculture research. There are some other endowed professors doing apiculture research, but they're endowed in another field of endeavor and not specifically in apiculture. So that means that there'll be a apiculture program in perpetuity at NC State, and we're not very far away from having it funded. Yes.
Right now, if Dr. Tarpey went away, the school could do away with that position and we wouldn't have an apiculturalist. Once it becomes endowed, it won't go away. It'll be there for us forever. So you can find out what's going on in the industry, what's going on locally by getting involved in organizations. Helping others, this is always one that I like too. So share your number with new beekeepers. We've got new beekeepers, we got people getting into bees that are here tonight. And they're coming to those classes thinking, oh gosh, this sounds so difficult. I don't know why I think I'm gonna do this. But go ahead and share your number, because you have the power to mentor these people and help them get to their 10-year anniversary. Invite them to see your bees. Most everybody here has bees, and when the weather breaks You can invite someone over to go in your bees. Work with others at the CEFs. We're moving the field day to Saturdays, so hopefully we'll have more people be able to come out. It is terrific to go in bees that you don't have to worry about messing them up, because that's the whole point of those bees sitting out there, is for us to go and learn from each other, learn from the bees. That's what they're there for. I am also interested in who would like to participate in an advanced beekeeping class, because if we really want to start some mentorship, maybe we want to go ahead and in addition to having some study sessions, we could just do an advanced beekeeping class here in the county. So if there's any interest, y'all need to let me know. While I'm working on bee school stuff, I'm on a roll. So now would be the time for us to say, yeah, we're gonna do that, and then I'll just keep going. Go ahead.
Can the practical portion of their, the course be done at the CEPS yard?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Tony. So when you come out and work on the bees on Saturday, when you come out there, we can sign you off on the practical, and then we'll get all that submitted, your test score, from bee school, and your practical paperwork, we'll get all that submitted to the state, and then that will trigger the state to send you your certification. So you can earn that through working the bees at CEFs.
So with the, advanced beekeeping class being like a class for us to move to the next, like to journeyman?
Yeah.
Why don't you just take a show of hands now? So,
Yeah, for the folks that are here, how many would be interested in attending a journeyman class? Okay, so we probably have enough interest to go ahead with it. We could talk to some other chapters around us, and then maybe do a Saturday where we have an advanced beekeeping class.
Also, in addition to that, anybody that graduates from this school, you know more than just about 90% of the people in the world. So volunteer to be a speaker at a civic club, Lions Club, a Rotary Club, your church group, men's club, women's group, 4-H. And it helps you share your knowledge, and if the kids ask you something like, do bees have a belly button? I mean, that was an answer, a question I had one time from a kid. And you know, they have some smart answers, some good questions or whatever, but that's a way for you to gain knowledge, because you go back and find answers to questions that you don't know the answer to. So I encourage everybody to do this, whether you're a new beekeeper or if you've been doing it for a while. Or teach a class, teach school, do what I did or what Kim's doing.
We can provide you with slides if you need that for doing a presentation.
We also have an opportunity coming up in March at University of Mount Olive to work with the 4-H.
It's, I think it's all FFA.
FFA. So the FFA students from all over the state will be coming to University of Mount Olive. We have a booth. My gosh, what is there, like 100, 120 booths? It's a crazy
Yeah.
number of booths, and beekeeping is one of them. And you get a chance to talk with kids all day long about beekeeping.
Is that AgFest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last year we did a summer school for middle school kids. We didn't get any high schoolers signed up, but we will probably be offering that again this year. And that actually pays for us to use this room.
That's right. All right, so now we're down to the nitty-gritty, because now we're gonna talk about be a better beekeeper. We should all say our New Year's resolution for 2024 is to be a better beekeeper, but you can't just like wish that into being, you gotta have a plan. So, let's talk a little bit about what type of approach you want to use. So, this woman, Robin Underwood, was a speaker at one of our NCSBA meetings down in New Bern, And she presented her study. She did a longitudinal study that looked at beekeepers who are conventional. They used synthetic, they used non-synthetic, and they used some natural approaches. They just kind of used anything and everything in order to take care of their bees. She had one group of those beekeepers. She had another group of beekeepers that were organically driven, so only non-synthetic treatments, only the acids and the oils and those types of things. And then she had another group that were treatment-free or all-natural beekeepers. And she compared each group over the course of, I think, 7 years, to see what happened. Well, what happened is if you were a natural beekeeper, you lose a lot of bees. I don't have to tell the natural beekeepers that. You know you lose a lot of bees. You have to make a lot of bees to be a natural beekeeper in order to keep that going. And there was basically no difference between conventional beekeepers and those who only used organic treatments. So whether you are using the Coumaphos and the Apivar and all that, if you're using all those pesticides in addition to non-synthetic, or if you're just using the non-synthetic, there's no significant difference in that type of beekeeping. But there is a big significant difference when compared to the natural beekeepers. Now, I would say that if you want to be treatment-free, if you want to be a natural beekeeper, then you're probably really, really good at making splits, because that is one of the best ways to create brood break and keep your bees going. For the rest of us that aren't natural, we're either conventional or organic focused, controlling Varroa is the best thing that you can focus on for 2024. Now, I want to be really, really transparent here, y'all. It took me 4 years to figure out my mite strategies. I could not work it out. One of the reasons I couldn't is because if my populations were increasing, or whether they were at the peak or decreasing, or they were dormant, is a different answer wherever you are. And then that's going to depend on the weather, whether you got supers on. I mean, there are just so many variables. It was super difficult for me to get it all straight. So if it's taking you 4 years, join the club, because it took me 4 years to get it straight. And I still kind of tweak. But this is the resource right here. This is off the Honeybee Health Coalition, and all of those treatments, how they are used, when they are used, are listed in this PDF that you can download for free, that was written by my boyfriend, Dr. Dewey Karen. He led that committee that wrote this. So I'm all about it. So improving the health of your bees definitely starts with Varroa control. And if you're a natural beekeeper, it means that you are making splits and splits and splits. And when you're making those splits, you're not taking any capped brood to the new box, because you don't want to run the risk of moving Varroa under the cappings into the new box. So they've got to be no cappings, just eggs and larvae. They can move to the next box in order to be successful. All right, so you got to make decisions if you want to increase the number of colonies you have. First thing you want to do is decide how many colonies you want, and then figure out, do I have enough equipment? Am I going to buy it? Am I going to make it? This is my inventory. So every year, every winter, I do inventory on the equipment that I have. This year I picked up a lot of, new inventory, so it was real important for me to get out there and count all these numbers. I have 100 deep boxes, y'all, at my house. That's a lot. So I anticipate I'm gonna have a lot of colonies this year, and I need for them to all be double deeps to use all of those. But you need to prepare to make splits, and if you wanna split your bees, remember that early spring is the easiest time to do that. If you wanna make bees, do it when the bees want to make bees, and that's the early spring. If you're gonna buy those bees, you need to go ahead and budget. How many packages am I gonna buy? How many nukes am I gonna buy? And you need to make the decision now, get that money set aside, because it's a limited time. Then, if you're gonna buy queens, you've got a budget for your queens. Queens, probably gonna be $35 a piece, and you gotta find your queen breeder. And you gotta ask your queen breeder, when are you gonna have queens? And he says in April. So in April, if I want to make any splits that I want to immediately requeen, I know my queen breeder's got them. So that's the type of planning you've got to make to increase your colonies. Maybe you want to increase your honey crop. So I want to double my honey crop this year. So I've set a goal for 2024 that I'm doubling the honey crop that I had from last year. Now, I had 5 huge colonies go down all about the same time, and I missed it, and I missed out on a whole lot of honey. So I think it's very doable for me to say I'm gonna double. But first thing I need to do is mitigate swarms. If half your bees leave your boxes, they are not bringing in nectar. They are running around looking for a new home. So you've gotta figure out, how do I mitigate for swarms? Queen health. You cannot be running a hospice for queens, for ancient queens, if you want a really good honey crop. You've gotta have a younger queen who's gonna be laying eggs like crazy. You want lots and lots of workers. You might decide to consider doing a double queen setup. That means you got 2 queens working in the bottom boxes that are separated, and then honey, queen excluders and honey supers on top. And in the Beekeeper's Handbook, there is a good description about how to do double queens and get additional honey. You gotta decide whether you're gonna use a queen excluder versus no queen excluder. Now, most of the commercial bees that I have been in, they do not use, well, I should say, it's about half and half. It's probably about half and half for those commercial guys. Half of them are using queen excluders and half of them are not. So you gotta make a decision that that's gonna be something that you want to do. You gotta watch for the nectar flow. When I was a brand new beekeeper, I couldn't even tell you what the nectar flow was, much less when it started. You may need to move your bees for forage, or if you really want a big honey crop, you may have to move those bees to follow the forage. The number one thing that we need here for our honey crop is that tulip poplar. So won't be long, the red buds will be blooming, and we'll roll into some more flowers, and then we're gonna see the nectar. Most of the time, the people that I talk to, they kinda think the nectar flow is later than what it really is. It comes pretty quick. When it arrives, you need to know how and when to super. That is also covered in this book. And whether you wanna put that, super on the top or lift that box and stick the empty super down below, it's covered in the book. There's some strategies because they all depend on whether you're gonna use that queen excluder or not. And then stay out of the way. Now, the dance floor is private. And what that means is when your foragers come into the box, they are meeting the house bees near the door, and they are passing off their nectar to the house bee, and then they're turning around and going back out. So if the house bees take their nectar really, really quickly, those foragers know there's a big demand, and they take back off, they go. If it takes a few minutes for the house bees to unload their nectar, then they start slowing down. So that's how bees are knowing how much to bring in, how hard do we need to work today. If you go into your colony during the nectar flow and do a big inspection and you interrupt what's going on the dance floor, according to the experts, you lose about 3 days worth of nectar collection. So 3 days worth of honey is gone from one inspection. Our nectar flow is usually only about 6 weeks, so you just gotta be patient. If you mitigated your swarms effectively, you're going to get through this. If you're putting those honey supers up top like you need to, it's gonna be okay, you're gonna get through it. So really staying out of their way is important.
Kim, approximate, what date would you say it starts?
So this past year, it was a good 2 weeks early. And then, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but we had like a little, the last 2 years, we've had like a little start, we've had a, nectar show, and then it kind of got cold a little bit, and then it started off again. But, it's been about 2 weeks early. I usually turn to Bill Thering. Bill Thering will put out on Facebook, the tulip poplar have bloomed. But I already have henbit in the yard. I have dandelions in the
I've
yard.
seen henbit all over the soybean fields.
That's right, yeah, so they're getting a little bit of nectar from that, so they're
Are they?
really, yeah.
They get nectar from that. I mean, they got the pollen.
Yeah, not a lot, but it does give them a little something. But there is a great calendar on the NCSBA website that Nancy Rupert did years ago, and it will tell you the approximate date and what is blooming. And if you planted one each of those in your yard, then you would always know. So if you plant a tulip poplar, if you plant a cherry tree, a crabapple, all of these different things in your yard, then you'll have a better idea. But it is early, and it is over very quickly for us.
So, January, February, March?
I would say by March, we will be in the nectar flow.
By the 1st of March?
Sometime in March. Yeah. Anybody else? What do you think?
March 21st, I think, is when the tulip poplar starts to bloom.
What do you think?
No, I don't think the tulip poplar start that early, but, I can't.
They've been going earlier and earlier. How about you?
There's some holly that blooms pretty early.
But the weather gonna change it to rain. That's what you got to worry about.
It has been, the tulip poplar has been pretty late the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might rain March 21st.
But truly, if you're planting these big nectar plants in your yard, then you can just take your cup of coffee, go out there in the morning and say, yep, it's on. Or find where these sources are so that you can watch them.
You can always check out the Lowe's.
Oh, walking around to see what's blooming at the Lowe's. That works. Gregory, you got any thoughts on
what?
nectar?
No, I just watch the stuff on the stuff.
All right, so then we've got take on a special project. Now I try to take on a special project every year. Here's some different ideas for for special projects. The first one is queen rearing. Now, you can try Queen Castle. I will tell you guys that stop laughing. I have tried a Queen Castle, and I have tried it for several years in a row, and I cannot do it. So this year, no more Queen Castle. I converted that thing into a regular colony. I'm not doing it anymore. It's very embarrassing. Resource nukes. If you want to try resource nukes, you could have a 5-frame resource nuke that you can put a little split into for every 2 to 5 of your large full-size colonies. Now, what you do with that resource nuke is you've got an extra queen, you've got extra brood. If there is a ton of brood, let's say there's a ton of cat brood and you need to do swarm mitigation, you can take that cat brood and you can put it in your resource box. So these things can go back and forth. The thing about a nuke is if you've got, say you got a 5-frame nuke, well, I can get another 5-frame box to go on top of it. Now it's 10 frames. And if I put another one on top, now it's 15 frames. It's still super easy to inspect, and it's super easy to take apart and use those frames or the queen or whatever I need. You can actually re-queen with a nuke. So let's say you have a colony that is queenless. You take out 5 frames from the middle, and you take those 5 frames from your nuke and you drop them straight in. And you don't have to worry about caging the queen, you can just drop it straight in. And that's a really easy way to re-queen. It's a great community service to do cutouts, and you can learn to do cutouts. I like to do at least 1 or 2 every year, just to, stay brushed up on it. But there are a whole lot of homes with bees living in them, and a whole lot of people who are just begging for someone to come and take those bees away. Trap outs are also an interesting thing to learn, but they're just an interesting thing to learn because it takes like 6 to 8 weeks, and it is definitely a lesson in patience. But if you don't have a way to open up whatever that cavity is, you can do a trap out. You can integrate a new tool or technique. So, if you haven't tried queen excluders, buy one queen excluder and just try it on one colony and see if that's the thing you like. If you haven't tried follower boards, this is something I tried one year when, after I went to Rick's operation, he had follower boards. So I have some of those now, and I like to use them. A pollen trap, I have one pollen trap, and I did that one year. That one went really well. What's going to happen for the club this year for a special project is we're going to do some cut comb. Judy Smith donated some shallow frames to the club, so we went out and got the shallow boxes, and then we're going to get the super, super thin shallow foundation with no wires. And we're gonna have the club bees try to make some cut comb for us to be able to sell at the fair. I've never tried it. You've done it, haven't you?
Cut comb.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that's our special project for the club this year. Go ahead.
What I did, just messing around, I put, that foundation with no wire in it, like you're talking about. I just put it in my regular box and see what it did.
Yeah. I love a special project, and Carrie, well, he'll try anything. We know it's true, we've heard it. But yes, that is one of the things that I think is most interesting about beekeeping, is if you have an idea about something you wanna try, just try it on one colony. You can build a brand. I went on the list of members, and somebody lives on GoldenEye Road. Somebody lives on Thunder Swamp, and there's somebody new who lives on Crow's Foot. Is there anybody in here who lives on Crow's Foot? There you go. I am so jealous because those are like the best honey brand names. Like,
I've got this whole thing worked out in my head, and I know I've got an artist friend, and I did a dump on her of everything in my head. She's working on something for me.
Yeah.
But Thunder Swamp Apiaries and TSA, we got the We got Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, so kind of, I've got a, little.
You got it all put in. So I was gonna move to Thunder Swamp Road because I was like, man, I wanna sell Thunder Swamp honey. Same with Crow's Foot. I can like really see a beautiful label with, you know, the Crow's Foot apiary, you know, just a nice stark brand. This is mine, this is the one I did. And I live on Bartlett Road, so I just went, you know, with Bartlett Bees. The Matthews back there, oh my gosh, how long did you guys debate your honey brand name?
I have no idea, it was a long time.
So a couple of years, and you guys also, you guys really debated your name.
We did.
Yeah, how did you, well, I know how you decided, because Cindy, you decided, didn't you?
Of course.
Yeah. I knew that
There was
one.
I don't have a choice.
Yeah, but working through this process of creating your brand, it's not a simple thing, it takes a little while. The other thing is social media. My Bartlett Bees is on Instagram and Facebook. I have a lot of fun making those little reels and videos and doing different things, putting them on social media. Most of my videos now get like 1,000 to a couple thousand views. I have a fair number of followers, and it is just fun to go out to the bees, take some pictures, and then share that with the world. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic or life-changing. It can just be simple, you know, just fun stuff. Word of caution on social media. Don't push your brand too hard before you have product. So you can get ahead, your success on that can get ahead of your ability to fill those orders. All right, so another opportunity is breeding bees. This is from 2012. This is the Keith Delaplane study on how to evaluate the health of colonies, how to standardize looking at colony strength. There is a lot of research based on this standardization. And you can collect some of these data sheets from the Informed Partnership. They're still available for download. And that is really cool because you can come up with a standardized way to get a good idea of your colony's health. The population size, the queen status, how much they have in the way of resources, the signs and the severity of diseases, and your varroa mite levels, and then you can decide on those next steps. So I'll pass these around. This is the, I should say, my current special project is breeding better bees. So I'm gonna, in my operation, my project this year is to breed better bees. This is my data sheet, and I have a clipboard, and my, I have a scribe that goes out to the bees with me, and I say, okay, put this down, this down, this down, this down, and he's over there circling away. But, you know, then he flips it over and he fills it out for the next colony, and then I put all of this in a spreadsheet. So here we are with my spreadsheet. So all the most of the information that's on that sheet is on this spreadsheet. These are bees up here at the top that are definitely going to be my splits, right? I've got bees that in October did not have any mites, right? Or they had really low mite numbers. They had a lot of frames of bees. Some of them were smaller, but for the most part, these nice, big, healthy colonies with no mites and great brood patterns, those are my bees. Those are the ones we're gonna spend some quality time with. These girls here that are a little jittery on their temperament, maybe not so much with them, like those mean ones that came to you. But calm, lots of honey, and no mites, they're my bees, they're gonna be split. I'm also looking at this ball brood, chewed down brood, melted larva, Varroa scene, small hive beetles, adults and larvae. I want to see some of this hygienic behavior. I want to see that these bees are working, they're identifying problems and they're working to get rid of problems. So I want this behavior. This over here is behavior that I don't want. But I didn't have a lot of it, so that was good. These were my great bees. Well, let's talk about not so great bees. These bees, look at this box right down here. 6 frames of bees, they were queen right, but they had 43 varroa mite in one wash, 43 mites. They were calm, they didn't have enough honey. They had hardly, well, they had a little bit of bald brood. Guess what? If this box swarms, or if I make a split off of this box, I'm calling y'all. I got some bees, you wanna come and get them? I got a swarm. I just had all the swarms I can stand, so these girls are yours, just come on over and pick them up.
Fly across the street
That's right. Go girls, go. And notice these bees, I want to point this out. See all these bees down here with all these mites? Notice that all the bad behaviors down here. All my bees that are starting to sting a little bit, they have a lot of mites. Who knows, I think the mites bother them too. But this is my special project this year. I'm going to breed better bees in my own operation by avoiding these guys at the bottom, not keeping these bees, moving those swarms on, not making splits from these bees, and I'm going to make splits from these girls. I want these girls. And I will tell you, because I think this is important, one of these, like right in here, is a cutout that I took out of a column. They did not have very many mites at all. So here's a box of bees that came out of a column, feral bees, very few mites. They're gonna get split. They're gonna have lots of sister colonies. The other thing you can do, and this is like one of them stretch goals, right? Like a really big goal. You can give up your day job. I went online today and found y'all some jobs. That you can just say, forget it, I don't wanna be XYZ anymore. I'm going to go do bees all the time. So Buddha Bees is hiring over there in Durham. This is the company that I'm working for right now. And they actually have a full-time regional manager position. If you want to interview for that, it's a remote job, so that's kind of cool. Here's another one with R&D bees, operation manager. This Suxapaha, I think this is, who are they? Help me.
Saxapahaw.
Yeah, who's the beekeeper over there? She's an entomologist, he's the beekeeper. It's, Cobra. Oh, I can't remember who it is, but this guy, I've watched this little company grow from like a little backyard operation to full-time beekeeping. And it's so cool to see them getting a manager. But yes, found you some jobs. You can go home this evening, get your resume together and apply. I'm sure there's some other ones out there. And that could be your thing. You could give up your day job. Any other goals, projects, any other things that people are thinking about doing that I haven't covered? Anybody doing anything really wild this year? Like big travel plans, maybe you're going to Slovenia to sleep in the Aja hives or something. People do that every now and again.
I will say, I'm not taking on any bees this year because I don't know. I never know what's certain for me anymore. But I really enjoy taking pictures of bees. I did it a lot. And if it's something that you're not comfortable with, or maybe just don't have a nice camera, I'm willing to come over, suit up, not suit up, depending on how hot your hive is, and take pictures. I took some years ago at Mr. Rick Course place, and I was just flipping through them. I think it was like 2014. He did a class on queen rearing, and some good hand shots with smokers. But yeah, if that's something that you would like to do, just let me know. I would love to come take a picture of your bees, especially if you have a website and you're trying to build that branding, to put that up on there.
Yeah. This is a picture I took. These are bees, these are commercial bees in North Dakota out there somewhere. So the other thing, and I've got this in my presentation for bee school, is make sure when your bees come in, you get ready to install them, that you have somebody to take pictures. Or video is even better, because you're gonna wanna laugh at yourself later. And it gets much funnier as the years go by and you get more experience with the bees. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, your worker bees, they work all day, where do they sleep at night in particular?
So sometimes they will sleep in the colony, but if there's a really large population of bees, or if it is really hot, they will do something called bearding, and they will actually sleep on the front porch. Because remember, your bees want to maintain a certain temperature and a certain relative humidity, and once they reach that, if they have trouble holding that, those worker bees have to go, or forager bees have to go out on the porch and spend the night out on the front of the colony. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to help you set your New Year's resolutions.